7 silent signs you're a real dark chosen one and don't even know it. There are moments in life that don't make sense. Not logically, not emotionally. You feel haunted by something invisible, like a shadow that follows you wherever you go. You see the world differently. You feel things more deeply than others, and you carry a weight inside that no one else seems to understand. Maybe you've tried to explain it, and people looked at you like you were crazy. Maybe you've been told you're too sensitive, too intense, too dark. But what if I told you those very things might be signs that you are something rare, something ancient, something the world has forgotten but desperately needs again? What if you're not broken but chosen? Most people think being chosen means being perfect, enlightened, or gifted with outward success. But the truth, the real chosen ones, the dark chosen ones, don't walk around glowing with bliss. They walk through fire. They live silently in the in-between. They are the ones who were cast out, misunderstood, wounded early, and called to walk an invisible path. They carry codes encoded in their soul, whispers of ancient missions, strange dreams and recurring patterns in life that no one can explain. And here's the most mind-bending part: they often don't even know they are chosen. Not until it's almost too late. Not until they've tried every possible path to fit in, to be normal, to escape the very calling that won't stop pulling at their soul.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
I want you to listen not just with your mind, but with your deepest inner knowing. Because if this is for you, you will feel it. You will feel it like a pulse in your chest, a shiver in your spine, a sudden quiet that takes over your whole body. You'll know I'm not speaking to the version of you that plays a role in this world. I'm speaking to the part of you that remembers. The first silent sign that you might be a real dark chosen one is this: you've always felt like an outsider, even in your own family. Think about this. From a young age, you felt like you were observing life rather than participating in it. You picked up on things others ignored. You questioned rules, traditions, even love. You felt emotions that didn't seem to belong to you, and sometimes you absorbed the pain of others like a sponge. You were the black sheep, the misunderstood one. Maybe you were even shamed for being different. But what if that wasn't a curse? What if it was the first test? A soul-level initiation designed to prepare you for something much bigger than a normal life. Second, you've experienced deep, recurring emotional pain that seems disproportionate to your circumstances. I'm not just talking about normal sadness. I mean the kind of pain that makes you feel like you're drowning in invisible waters. Pain that comes in waves, even when life is going well. You've tried to explain it, even diagnose it, but no label fits. That's because it's not just emotional. It's spiritual. It's the soul remembering its mission, remembering what it came here to do, and struggling with the density of this world. You carry emotional echoes from lifetimes. You're not just healing your own wounds, you're healing ancestral lines, collective patterns, even karmic debts. And that's why your pain is so big, because your role is so big. Third sign, you are drawn to the dark, but not in a destructive way, in a sacred way. You are fascinated by the unseen, the forbidden, the mysterious. You've probably been drawn to things like shadow work, ancient occult wisdom, death, rebirth, dreams, symbols, or even horror, not because you glorify darkness, but because you intuitively know the light can't exist without it. While others run from the shadow, you move toward it. You sense that within the darkness lies truth, and that truth terrifies people. But it calls you. It's always called you. Fourth, you've had moments of profound intuition or knowing that you couldn't explain. Maybe you dream things before they happen. Maybe you felt the presence of something watching you, guiding you. Maybe you hear whispers, feel energy, sense emotions from people without them saying a word. This isn't imagination. It's not coincidence. You're tuned in to a different frequency. You're a bridge between worlds. You've always been. But because this world doesn't teach us how to handle that, you probably ignored or suppressed it. But it never really left you, did it? Fifth, you go through cycles of destruction and rebirth over and over again. Just when life starts to feel stable, something collapses. A relationship ends. A job disappears. A version of you dies. And even though it hurts, deep down you know it's necessary. You're not here to build a comfortable life. You're here to be transformed, again and again, like the phoenix, burning to ash, only to rise again. Every time you think you've lost everything, something more powerful emerges from within you. You're being forged, and every death is a preparation for a greater purpose. Sixth, you often feel like you're waiting for something, but you don't know what. It's that strange anticipation, like something is about to happen, something big. You don't know where it will come from or why you feel it, but it's always there, a low hum in the background of your life. That's because your soul remembers the mission, even if your mind doesn't yet. You're being prepared for activation, for a moment in time when your specific energy will be needed. And when that moment comes, you'll recognize it instantly. And finally, seventh, you've tried to give up on your deeper calling, but it never lets you go. Maybe you've tried to live a normal life, get a job, fit in, settle down, but something always pulls you back. Well, you've probably said, why can't I just be happy like other people? But that's the illusion. You weren't meant for illusion. You were meant for depth, for truth, for the sacred path of the unseen. And no matter how hard you try to run, the calling follows you. Because you didn't choose this path. It chose you. And your soul said yes before you were even born. So now I ask you the real question. The one that changes everything. What if your suffering wasn't punishment but preparation? What if your difference wasn't a flaw, but a message? What if the reason you never fit in is because you were never meant to? Because if these signs are speaking to you, you're not just a seeker, you're not just different. You are a real dark chosen one. And the world is about to need you more than ever. The hidden mission of the dark chosen ones, and why the world pretends you don't exist. There is a reason the world doesn't talk about you. A reason there are no textbooks, no mainstream teachings, no ceremonies to welcome you into your role. The truth is, your very existence threatens the structures this world is built on. The dark chosen ones were never meant to be seen in the light of conventional success. You weren't designed to be easily understood, categorized, or controlled. You are a walking disruption, a living reminder that there is something beyond the illusion we've all been sold. That's why no one ever told you who you are. That's why instead of being initiated, you were isolated. Instead of being honored, you were shamed, because the world doesn't want to remember what you carry. But you didn't come here to be accepted. You came here to awaken. The mission of the dark chosen ones is not obvious. It's not loud. It doesn't scream for attention or demand validation. It moves in silence, in symbols, in strange dreams and quiet whispers that only you can hear. This mission is ancient, older than any religion, older than any temple. It has no dogma, no rules, no hierarchy. It's encoded in your soul, not written in any book. And the more you try to deny it, the more your life begins to fall apart. Because you weren't born to live a small, safe life. You were born to remember what everyone else forgot. You are here to be a mirror so sharp, so clear, that when people look into your eyes, they see not who they pretend to be, but who they truly are. And that's terrifying to those who are still asleep. That's why they resist you. That's why you've experienced so much rejection. Because your energy exposes what others are trying to hide even from themselves. You don't have to say a word. Your presence alone can activate the deepest truths in someone's being. And that is your power. But it can also be your burden. Because when you carry this kind of energy, you often walk alone. And yet, Your solitude isn't punishment, it's initiation. In the silence, in the stillness, in the places where no one else dares to go, you begin to hear the mission more clearly. You begin to feel the pull, the knowing, the undeniable truth that you didn't come here to fit in, you came here to build a new world. And that world can only be birthed by those who've walked through the ashes of their own destruction. That world can only be carried by those who've died 1,000 ego deaths, only to rise again with nothing but truth in their hands. You see, your mission isn't to save people. That's not your role. Your mission is to embody your essence so fully, so unapologetically, that it cracks the matrix around you. You don't lead with force, you lead by frequency. And when your frequency is aligned, the right people find you. The right doors open. The right timelines activate. Your life becomes a living transmission. But before you can hold that transmission, you must be emptied. That's why so much has been taken from you. That's why you've been stripped, tested, broken. Because the old version of you couldn't carry the weight of what's coming. Only the real you, the raw, unfiltered, soul deep, you can hold that energy. And that's why the world pretends you don't exist. Because if it acknowledged you, it would have to confront everything it's built on. It would have to admit that truth cannot be monetized, that real power doesn't come from control but from surrender, that the most awakened souls often look nothing like what we've been taught to worship. You don't wear robes. You don't speak in riddles. You might be covered in tattoos. You might swear. You might work a 9-to-5 job or live in the middle of nowhere. But your energy, it's undeniable. It's ancient. It's disruptive. It's holy. You are not here to escape this world. You are here to infiltrate it from the inside. To walk among the sleeping, not with judgment, but with quiet fire. To carry the codes of remembrance in your very being. And when the moment comes, and you will speak, you will act, you will rise. Not because you were told to, not because it's trendy, but because your soul won't let you stay silent anymore. So let me ask you something dangerous, something no one else may have dared to ask you before. What truth have you been hiding because you know it would change everything? What part of you have you silenced because you feared its power? What if that part was your mission? You are not here to play small. You are here to tear the veil, to expose the lie, to awaken the codes buried in the bones of humanity. And you're not alone. There are others. We've just been scattered, hidden, kept apart by design. But the time of remembering is here. The time of gathering is now. The mission is no longer dormant. The world is shifting. And we, those who walk in shadow yet carry the light of 1,000 suns, are rising. The spiritual price of awakening, and why most people never survive it. Awakening is romanticized far too often. People talk about it like it's a peaceful sunrise, a sudden bliss, a gentle realization that you are more than your body, more than your story. But that's not the truth, not for the dark chosen ones. Real awakening is not beautiful at first. It's violent. It's devastating. It's the complete collapse of everything you thought was real. It's a spiritual death that doesn't ask for your permission. It tears through your relationships, your beliefs, your identity, your sense of safety. It doesn't whisper, it screams. And that's why most people never survive it. Not because it kills their bodies, but because it demands the death of their illusion, and they cling to that illusion like it's oxygen. When you begin to awaken, you are not gifted with peace. You are handed chaos. Everything you've built your life on begins to crumble. The job you thought defined you suddenly feels meaningless. The people you surrounded yourself with, you start feeling an invisible wall between you and them. You speak, but they can't hear you. You cry, but they can't feel you. And then comes the silence, not the peaceful kind, but the kind that echoes through your bones. A silence so loud it drowns out the noise of the world. That silence is the void, the sacred cocoon. And in that void, your soul begins to speak. But the voice of the soul is not always comforting. It doesn't tell you what you want to hear. It tells you the truth. And the truth is rarely comfortable. The truth is that you've been living someone else's life, that you've been wearing masks that don't fit, that you've been serving systems that never served you. And now you have to choose continue pretending or let it all burn. And here's the terrifying part. You won't be rewarded for choosing to awaken, not immediately. You won't be applauded. You won't be supported. In fact, you might lose everything. People will say you've changed, that you become distant, cold, arrogant, delusional. But they don't know what it feels like to have your reality shattered, to look around and realize you've been asleep your entire life. That's not something you can explain. That's something you survive. Most people turn back. They can't handle the heat. They retreat into the illusion, even if it suffocates them. But the dark chosen ones, we don't turn back, even when it hurts, even when it costs us everything. We walk through the fire. We let it burn away every lie. And what's left is not a polished, perfect version of us, it's the raw, naked soul. The real us, the one that was buried under years of programming, fear, and compromise. This is the spiritual price of awakening. You will lose the life you thought you wanted to gain, the one you were born for. You will lose your mind to find your soul. You will feel like you're dying. But what's really dying is the false self. And when that self dies, something miraculous happens. You begin to see, not just with your eyes, but with your whole being. You start noticing the synchronicities, the signs, the way the universe has been guiding you all along. You realize that the pain wasn't punishment, it was precision. Every breakdown was a breakthrough dressed in disguise. Every betrayal was a redirection. Every loss was a clearing. But that clarity doesn't come without cost. You'll go through dark nights that feel endless. You'll question your sanity. You'll scream at the sky, begging for answers. And sometimes all you'll get is silence. But that silence is not empty. It's sacred. It's the space where your new self is being formed. And when you emerge from that silence, you won't be the same. You won't even want to be. Because the person you become on the other side of awakening is not someone who needs validation. It's someone who remembers. You remember who you are. You remember why you came. You remember that you are not here to fit in, to follow, or to please. You are here to awaken others simply by being who you are. And that's why the path is so brutal. Because you have to become unshakable. You have to become unbreakable. Not by hardening yourself, but by softening into your truth so deeply that no lie can touch you. Let me ask you something that might change you forever. If you knew that awakening would cost you everything, your comfort, your relationships, your identity, would you still choose it? Could you still say yes, knowing it would strip you bare before it set you free? Because that is the path of the dark chosen one. We don't awaken for pleasure. We awaken because we must. Because the soul refuses to stay asleep. Because the world needs us awake, not later, not someday, now. And when you walk this path long enough, something wild begins to happen. You stop fearing the darkness. You stop fearing death, loss, and endings. You begin to see beauty where others see destruction. You begin to trust the unknown, and that trust becomes your compass. That trust becomes your power. You are not weak for breaking. You are powerful because you chose to break open. And that choice, that's what makes you rare. That's what makes you sacred. That's what makes you one of the few who made it through the fire and didn't just survive, but awakened. The final sign, why you are the key to the Great Awakening. There's one last sign, silent, yet thunderous in its power. It's not found in books or ancient scrolls. It's not spoken by spiritual teachers or echoed in viral quotes. It's something you feel in your bones, in your blood, in the space between your thoughts. It's the knowing that despite all the pain, all the aloneness, all the chaos, you are still here. You are still breathing. And something inside you refuses to give up. That is not weakness. That is the mark. The final sign. The undeniable truth that you are not just waking up, you are the key to the great awakening. Why? Because you were built for it. Every tear you've cried, every breakdown you've survived, every dark night you endured, it reshaped you. It carved you into a vessel strong enough to carry the codes this world is dying to remember. You didn't just survive the storm, you became the calm eye in the center of it. And now you hold something that cannot be taught, only embodied activation. The world is filled with noise, false prophets, shiny paths of escape disguised as enlightenment. But you carry something deeper truth. Not the truth that fits in a quote or a post, but the kind that shakes people awake when they're near you. You don't need to preach. You don't need to convert. You simply are. And that being is enough to break spells. That is your gift. That is why the world tried so hard to make you forget who you were. But here you are, remembering. You are the frequency disruptor. The one who walks into a room and changes its vibration. The one whose presence alone makes others confront their own soul. That's why people have feared you, resented you, misunderstood you. You are a mirror, and not everyone is ready to see what you reflect. But the ones who are, they will find you. They are already looking for you. That's what the Great Awakening is. It's not one moment, one event, one savior. It's millions of souls remembering, connecting, activating each other. And you, yes, you are one of the first. So let me ask you one final question, one that only your soul can answer. If you knew that everything you've gone through was not in vain, if you knew that your life, your pain, your path was the very key to someone else's awakening, would you finally stop hiding? Because now is the time. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs you, fully, fiercely, unapologetically. This is the moment you stop doubting and start embodying. This is the moment you rise not as someone trying to be chosen, but as someone who finally realizes you already were.